can you tell me a little bit about what your life was like before you went to war? I was born in Hobart on the 14th of May, 1869. I had a father named John William Abbott, who was an auctioneer, and my mother was called Mary Ann Nee Phipps. I was educated at the Hutchins School, Hobart, in 1878 to 1887. I was then sent to Thomas Edgar Creswell, a city solicitor, in April 1889, and admitted to practice on 2nd of June 1894. I was also an active member of the Sydney Rowing Club. I played social cricket, and I was enrolled as a special constable during the 1891 Wharf Labour Strike. And then, on the 2nd of September 1901, at Tamworth, I got married to Elizabeth Matilda. I know that governments devoted massive amounts of resources and effort to produce propaganda to persuade soldiers to join the war. Did this have any effect on you? Yes, propaganda had a huge effect on me. I'm sure it had on many other soldiers, because it told tales of adventures all around the world, meeting new people and seeing the sights. It sparked imagination in my mind, forced me to think of all the different things I would see, all the different experiences I would enjoy. It made me think of all the good things I could do for my country and my family. I'm curious, how did you get to war? British troops travelled to France via ferry across the English Channel. Once in France, the troops made their way to the front, by train, car, or often on foot. These conditions in which the troops travelled varied depending on their rank. Officers tended to travel in better style than enlisted men, but the conditions generally deteriorated over the course of the war. More and more strain was put on transport services by the amount of men and material crossing the channel. Okay, well how did you start out in war? I started in 1898 and joined the 4th Infantry Regiment as a second lieutenant, which you can only do if you complete an ROTC, or Reverse Officer Training Corps program, or a 4-year college degree, and then successfully complete Officer Candidate School. I stayed with the 4th Infantry until 1903, and then I was transferred to the 5th Infantry. That's interesting. And how about, what did you do while you were at war? I never got comfortable, as I transferred a lot. For instance, in 1903, I transferred to the 5th Australian Light Horse Division, to then get transferred again in 1905 to the 6th Light Horse Division. And then, in 1908, I was promoted to captain and then major the year after. Then, from 1913, I was transferred to command the 5th Light Horse Division. Then I was appointed Lieutenant Colonel in the Australian Imperial Force in March 1915. And finally, I sailed for Egypt in June in command of the 12th Light Horse. Okay, on to the next question. Where were the training camps before Gallipoli, and what did you do there? The camp was set up in Mena, Egypt, about 10 miles from Cairo. The pyramids and Sphinx at Giza made for a spectacular backdrop, as the training camp provided enough space for training drills and maneuvers for unlimited troops. Limited leave was allowed in Cairo after hours, as training was incredibly intense, and would be 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, all day long. To harden the troops, they were forced to wear their full kits, with heavy packs during their training. I was a lieutenant, so I didn't have to train at the camp, but I taught the soldiers. Wow, that sounds intense. And now, how did you entertain yourself during the day with your downtime? Sometimes we were given work to keep us busy, such as repairing damaged trenches, repairing barbed wire defenses, and filling sandbags. This still left us with plenty of time, so we would read letters sent to us and reply to them. We would rely on these letters to bring us any news from home and help lift all our spirits. Parcels from home were also greatly appreciated and gave us treats like cigarettes, scarves, gloves, sweets, cakes, and chocolates. Foodstuffs were probably the most popular item to receive, as they provided a welcome break from the routine trench food that we lived on. We also read, kept journals, wrote poetry, sketched, and gambled while we were in the lines. Okay, now, can you tell me a little bit about your well-being when you were at war? I suffered from the enteric fever in October 1915 and was evacuated to England, where I still commanded Australian staging camps. Recurrence of the enteric, effects of gas, and a chronic eye complaint forced me to return to Australia in April 1918, and then I was released from the AIF in June in 1918. However, I continued to stay in command of the 12th, now called the New England Light Horse, until I retired in 1929. Okay, and I know there are many awards to the military. Can you tell me about some of the ones that you acquired? I acquired many awards throughout my time at war. I got 5 awards from the 10th Australian Light Horse Regiment, 2 from the First World War, and I got 3 1st Australian Infantry Brigades. I acquired the 10th Australian Light Horse Regiment Award because my commanding officer saw me as a competent leader. And finally, I understand that war can ruin people's lives, even after. Could you tell me a bit about what your life became after war? In 1919, I re-established myself as a solicitor. I then headed for the Country Party's New England campaign for the state election, accompanying Sir Michael Bruxner on his electoral tour. Although I failed an attempt to be elected in the Senate in 1922, I succeeded in taking a seat in 1925, only to lose it again in 1928. I sat on the 1927 to 29 Royal Commission on the Constitution, presenting several minority reports.